Hey everyone, and welcome to another recap of Doom Patrol. Now, with all the excitement of Avengers Endgame and Game of Thrones last weekend, I honestly forgot Doom Patrol was even on, so I'm just now catching up to it. Let's go ahead and jump right into the Doom Patrol Season 1, Episode 11, titled Francis Patrol. We start with what looks like the past, with Larry and his secret lover John meeting up in a motel in the middle of nowhere. Now, it does appear to be a flashback, but it turns out to actually be in Larry's head. John says that they never actually met up here, just usually in his truck, but Larry says he always wanted to go to this motel with him. Larry's brought out of his dream, and we're back to the present. Well, more specifically, back 2 episodes ago, where Larry's negative spirit was channeling Cliff into Jane's mind. Cliff is in his room when he hears a news report of the death of the man his daughter believes is her father. Jane calls a team meeting, but only Rita and Cliff show up, so she's kind of upset about this. Now, while this is going on, Cyborg is communicating with his cybernetic half called Grid, and he discovers that his body is slowly becoming more and more computer than human. Jane changes personalities and becomes Flit and transports Cliff and Rita to Florida outside a bar and then disappears. They go inside the bar and Rita tries to play Cliff's appearance off as a leftover Halloween costume, and honestly, I think this is the first time anyone has ever seemed shocked to see Cliff out in public. Back at the manor, Vic is slicing into himself to see how much more cybernetic he's become, because apparently this is something that you do. Larry begs his negative spirit to take him back into the past so that he can see John again, and he finds himself in a gay bar where John introduces him to his friends. Back at the bar in Florida, Cliff's daughter gives a eulogy to her adopted father. Cliff stands by, unable to tell her anything or to even comfort her. Now back to Larry's fantasy. John tries to convince him that it's okay, that nobody cares that they're together here, but Larry's really hesitant. John tells him that the world's changed, but Larry hasn't. He's still hiding who he is. John ends up leaving, and Larry wakes up, returning to the present. Back in Florida, Cliff and Rita take off through the swamp, and Cliff is on a mission to find Francis, which is the alligator that killed his daughter's adopted dad. Cliff wants to take him on, and Rita rows beside him in a boat looking like something out of The Notebook. Larry goes to John's home. A nurse answers the door, and she's not one bit surprised at his appearance. Honestly, she doesn't even bat an eye. This show is sometimes so unrealistic in terms of how people are perceiving each other. But anyways, she leads Larry into a room, and he sees an elderly John laying in bed asleep, and really, I'm surprised that he's still alive, considering the timeline, but this show has never really been that great with, continuity and timelines and stuff like that. But anyways, John wakes up, and he reveals to Larry that he's actually been seeing all these visions that Larry's been seeing. He thought they were dreams, but it turns out that the negative spirit is allowing them to be together in these visions. In some other location, Vic and Jane pull up in the bus and they're waiting on someone. Vic tells Jane that he's scared of what's happening to his body, that the machine is in control more than he wants it to be. Jane gets distracted, running off as she sees a man yelling at a woman. As this happens, Vic sees an older lady, and apparently she's the one they were waiting on. She flashes some tech at him and knocks him out. Meanwhile, Jane runs after the yelling man, and he turns on her, tries to flash the same tech as her that took out Vic, but she sidesteps this and knocks him down, and he dashes off for a van and he jumps inside. Back in the swamp, Cliff comes face to face, literally, with Francis the alligator. Larry explains to John how sorry he was to have left him all those years ago, and he tries to tell him about his negative spirit. He kind of looks off as John closes his eyes and then passes on. We then see their younger selves, with John walking off into a blur. Larry thanks his negative spirit for allowing him to see this, and then he leaves. Cliff returns to the bar after his fight with Francis, and he leaves the watch his daughter had lost sitting on the bar, apparently having taken it from the alligator. Vic wakes up cuffed to a chair, and he hears someone talking, and we see that it's one of the men from the Bureau of Normalcy, and then the episode pretty much ends there. Now, overall, this one was a little boring. Lots of character storylines, but a little light on action. It had some very good acting from Matt Bomer, but otherwise, it's kind of blah. I do figure next week we'll pick up with Vic being held captive at the Bureau. But anyways, I'm going to leave this one here. Be sure and check out the other recaps and reviews on the channel, and give this one a big thumbs up if you liked it.